Hey, my name's Nicole, and this is World on Fire, where I read climate news so you don't have to. I actually have some good climate news for a change. Yeah, it's rare, but it happens sometimes, like catching a glimpse of a resplendent Quetzal or Rob Schneider being in a good movie. This week, a judge sided with a group of youth climate activists who were suing the state of Montana, saying that state agencies were violating their constitutional right to a clean and healthful environment by allowing fossil fuel development. Yes, baby, that's right. Their rights were violated and they do not have a clean and healthful environment, and it feels so weird celebrating this. This ruling is a big deal for a lot of reasons, but partially because it affirmed that the climate is included in the state constitution's guarantee of a right to a clean and healthful environment, which, yeah, duh. Climate is the main thing about a clean and healthy environment. Imagine if one of the hosts of The Voice was like, up, sorry, no singing. I'm only here for the costumes. And some of you big-brained legal scholars at home might be saying, climate change, if it's even real, which it's not, is a global phenomenon, okay? You can't blame the state of Montana for something that's global. And if that's the case, I suspect that you got your legal degree the same place I did, which is by letting 30 years of Law & Order reruns seep into your brain via osmosis, because that argument does not hold up in court. The judge ruled that the government did play a role in harming youth plaintiffs because of a statute that prohibits the state from considering climate change when permitting energy projects. That makes sense to me. You can't guarantee a clean and healthy environment and prohibit thinking about climate change. That's like your dentist saying, I'm going to ensure that you have a clean and healthy mouth, but I am not touching those teeth. They got all those holes in them. And this ruling is just the beginning, because more and more youth climate lawsuits are underway as we speak, including one against the Hawai'i Department of Transportation, which goes to trial in 2024. That lawsuit argues that the agency prioritizes transportation projects like highway construction that lock in and escalate the use of fossil fuels, rather than projects that mitigate and reduce emissions. Yeah, transportation departments really love that one specific kind of transportation. DOTs are sort of one-trick ponies, which ironically would be a more sustainable form of transportation than what they offer us. One cool thing is that this lawsuit was filed in both English and the Hawaiian language, which is an important reminder that climate and colonialism are intimately linked. The suit contains a number of complaints related to long-standing Hawaiian traditions. Like, for example, the plaintiff Navahine and her family are caretakers of one of Hawaii's oldest fish ponds, which provides food to a lot of locals. But now, thanks to rising sea levels, fish are able to swim out of the fish ponds and invasive jellyfish wash in. Climate change has made rebuilding and maintaining this fish pond a Sisyphean task. Or actually even worse, because at least Sisyphus didn't have to deal with fucking jellyfish. Climate change endangers the kind of cultural traditions that make Hawaii, Hawaii. Like, some experts say that without protecting the environment, Native Hawaiians won't be able to gather the traditional plants used in the hula, the most well-known form of oral tradition maybe in the world. Maybe people would be madder about it if climate change threatened the very nature of white cultures. I mean, what if climate change prevented the French from making cheese and having affairs? What if it prevented English people from eating whatever the fuck this is? What if it stops the Irish from wistfully gazing over the ocean? And what if climate change prevented Luxembourgians from doing whatever happens in Luxembourg? It's impossible to talk about climate in Hawaii right now without mentioning the devastating wildfires that happened in Maui, and if you're interested in donating to relief efforts, I put some links in the description. But in that context, it's worth pointing out that back in 2020, Maui filed its own lawsuit against the oil companies, and the increasing risk of destructive wildfires was cited no less than 8 times. Oh, oil companies, it's going to be hard to make the case that you couldn't have seen this happening when somebody told you it was going to happen 8 times in court. Also, man, you gotta be some real fucking villains to go to court just days after over 100 people died in wildfires and say this.
They admit over and over again that the case is about all the emissions around the globe mixed together. No one can tell where the emissions came from.
Oh yeah, sure. We're all trying to find the guy who did this. Oh, and this guy is representing Sunoco, the largest independent distributor of motor fuels in the US. So I personally feel pretty confident that even if we can't identify the source of every single emission, that some part of that mélange, that delicate bouquet of fossil fuels, is Sunoco's fault. And I want to clear something up about assigning fault in a legal case like this, okay? If I'm ever murdered by 1,000,000 bullets, like in RoboCop, I don't really care if you can't figure out which bullet from which gun was the one that killed me. I want you to enact murderous revenge on everybody involved, like in RoboCop. And while you might be saying, Nicole, I don't know that you fully understood the message of RoboCop, one thing that I do understand is that if you do something that you know is dangerous, because, say, for example, your own scientists have been telling you for decades that polluting with fossil fuels is not a good idea, and that thing that you did that you knew was irresponsible contributed to the deaths of dozens of people, then that's a crime, and you have to be held accountable for that.
Your move, creep.
If you're looking to help the people of Maui or get involved with climate issues, I put some links in the description. And if you want me to help keep you updated about climate news, hit subscribe and like below. And if you don't like this video, well, I guess I'll see your ass in court.